Hello friends, my name is Alex and welcome to my booktube channel. For today's video, we are going to be chatting about books that give off spring vibes. We have some that are on my TBR that are giving me those springtime vibes, and then some books that I have read that I'm going to recommend to you. So settle in and let's get chatting about great books to read in the springtime. To be honest, this was a little bit of a difficult seasonal recommendations video to come up with. I feel like for winter and fall and summer, it's super easy to associate certain books with those times of year. But for whatever reason, spring was just really difficult for me. I don't know if I read the wrong types of books or if that's just a season that doesn't have a lot of like book tropes and vibes associated with it. I'm not totally sure, so before we get going, let me know in the comments what types of things in books give you spring vibes and what type of books might you put on that list. But for me, personally, I ended up just choosing books that had either like a floral vibe, whether there's like a bunch of flowers on the cover or the book has kind of floral themes. Some romances give me spring vibes, so I've got a little bit of that on the list. And overall, just a generally like kind of whimsical feeling, like traditional fae type of books give me spring vibes for whatever reason. I'm not really sure. That's what we're working with. That is kind of what inspires that kind of spring thought in my mind. So those are the books that I gravitated towards for this list. Let's just dive into this and hopefully we'll get spring from some of these recommendations as well. Let's get into this list, starting with the ones that are on my TBR. I am a huge mood reader, so who has any clue if I'm gonna get to any of these in the spring? But these are some books that are off of my TBR. I'm really excited about getting to these sometime, and these ones gave me spring vibes. Starting off with Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. Now I know that this book is actually maybe a little bit more wintry because it has like a Scandinavian snowy setting, but the cover is just so floral and pretty, and with the studying of fae and fairies, that just gives me very spring vibes. I don't know what it is about like more traditional fae, not really SJM type of fae, but more traditional mischievous fae. But it seems really fun. We follow Emily Wilde, who is a researcher, and she is writing the first encyclopedia of the fae, and so she has gone off to study them. There is an academic rivals to lovers type of situation going on, and it sounds really cute, really fun, and I hope that I get to read it pretty soon. Let me know if you've read this one. I know it's been floating around there on BookTube and Bookstagram. The next one on my TBR that I'm really hoping to get to very soon is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. Now, I know that a lot of people may put this one on more of a fall TBR list because it is witchy, but there's just such cute little like flowers on the cover, and it's like found family cozy fantasy. So this one feels like a cozy, comforting spring read to me. We are following a woman who is a witch, but she makes YouTube videos pretending to have magic, and nobody really knows that she's actually a witch until somebody watches her videos, thinks that her magic is real, and invites her to this mansion, whatever it is, to come and teach some young orphaned witches about their magic. And there is a romance with a grumpy librarian. So this one seems darling and fun and gives me those spring vibes, probably because of the florals, but it's just such a cute cover. So hopefully getting to this one soon. I am also getting major spring vibes from Other Birds by Sarah Addison Allen, probably because of these beautiful blue birds. The cover, the vibes, it's magical realism, and it just sounds very springy, and I'm excited to read it. So I don't know a ton about this one other than we are following, I believe, a group of people who all live in the same apartment building, and there are magical realism elements. Honestly, I don't know a ton, but I've heard really good things about this author. Hopefully this one is springy. I honestly couldn't tell you. I could be completely wrong about this one, but it gives me spring vibes from these beautiful bluebirds. Now, another book that has a beautiful floral springy cover is A Curious Beginning, which is the first book in the Veronica Speedwell mystery series. So I don't know that mystery necessarily screams spring to me, but this is a historical mystery set in London, and for whatever reason, that does scream spring to me, especially with this super darling floral cover. I am really excited to jump into this one. I have heard that the mysteries are not the best of mysteries, but there's a really good romance and historical element, so the combination just sounds very cozy and fun to read, and I'm really looking forward to starting this series. Hopefully I enjoy it and can continue through, because I believe it's quite a long series. So the A Curious Beginning Veronica Speedwell mystery series is definitely one that is creeping up on my TBR, and again, obsessed with the springy floral vibes on this really cute cover. Okay, this next recommendation is not actually out yet, but it's a spring release this year and it is giving me the cutest spring vibes. It is a romance called Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. This is a companion novel to When in Rome, which I have not read, but I'm dying to read Practice Makes Perfect because our main character is a florist and the cover is darling and pink, but what is more springy than a romance about a florist? I don't know. I'm so excited to get my hands on this one and dive into it. The florist and cute, sweet friends to lovers romance definitely screams spring to me. Now, the last book on my TBR list is maybe one that you guys are gonna disagree with me on, but it is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I am guessing that a lot of people who have read this might say more fall vibes. I don't know. I've not read it yet, but like I said, these more mischievous, dark type of fae that we have in Holly Black's writing definitely gives me more springy vibes. I am really cautiously optimistic about this one. I had been putting it off for a long time because I keep hearing the term bully romance thrown around with The Cruel Prince, and that does not appeal to me. That's just not the type of romance that I am interested in reading, but the more I hear about it, the more I hear that it's more focused on fae politics. I'm getting more interested in it again, so maybe this will be one that I get brave enough to pick up this spring. We will have to see. Now we are going to jump into a few books that I have read if you are looking for one of my recommendations to pick up in the spring. These are a couple of books that I think will definitely give you those vibes. At least they did for me. So let's get started with Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Sue Lin Tan. Now, I think it's just the atmosphere and just beauty of the world of this book that gives me spring vibes. The cover is absolutely stunning, like one of the most beautiful books. We just have the most beautiful settings and locations in this story. Our main character travels throughout the Celestial Kingdom to different gorgeous locations. We start off on the moon, which is just so atmospherically described. It's really, really stunning. Sue Lin Tan's writing is full of imagery and just really, really lovely. So we have some really beautiful imagery when we're on the moon. We have some really beautiful imagery once we reach the Celestial Kingdom. And yeah, I just, for whatever reason, get major gorgeous spring vibes from this. It's a really, really great read. It's just a duology, so not a huge commitment, but it's a lovely story. I really enjoyed it. I liked the first book a lot more than the second one, but I loved the way that everything ended, so I ended up liking the duology overall as a whole. Even though the second book wasn't my favorite, I really, really enjoyed the way that this author wrapped up this whole story. So if you're looking for a quick duology to dive into this spring, maybe check this one out. Next up is one that I actually read super, super recently, and it's a brand new release, and that is Flower Heart. This is a brand new YA fantasy debut by Catherine Bakewell, and obviously, I think you can get the spring vibes just by looking at it. But our main character has magic that is really uncontrollable and often leads to flowers growing in places that she doesn't want them to. When she has really strong emotions, her hair will grow flowers in it that relate to the emotion that she has, which is really interesting. I think this is a really sweet one. It definitely was not a 5-star read for me, but I still enjoyed it. So if you're looking for just a charming YA fantasy, Definitely some romance in there and springy floral vibes. This is a good one to check out. Now, another book that I feel has similar themes. We have the flowers related to emotions and floral magic, The Nature of Witches. And you guys, this one is a 5-star read. This came out a couple of years ago. Also a debut novel by Rachel Griffin, but oh my gosh, this book blew me away. I really, really loved it. And even though it looks kind of more fall-y on the cover, our love interest in this book is a spring witch, and we have just some really sweet developments in the romance that have to do with flowers. Because one of our main characters is a spring witch, we do have a lot of spring vibes in this book. You could really associate it with any season because our main character is what's known as an Everwitch, whose magic is associated with all 4 seasons. So you can pick this book up whenever you feel like, but I do think that it has good spring vibes. If that is something that you are looking for, I highly, highly recommend this book. It's so good. Another recent release and recent read for me is The Last Tale of the Flower Bride. This one is definitely a darker read, and I think it's probably the fairy tale atmosphere that gives it those springy vibes. It kind of reads like an adult version of Bridge to Terabithia. I just felt those vibes the whole time I was reading it. Main characters are very interested in the other world and kind of, I suppose, fae-like beings. So yeah, that dark fairy tale, dark fae, gives me spring vibes for whatever reason. This was a really interesting read. I am still debating how I actually felt about it, so you'll have to stick around for my March wrap-up to hear my official thoughts, but this is a good one to pick up during spring if you are looking for a darker but still kind of springy read. And to round everything out with a cozy mystery, we have Shady Hollow by Juno Black. This one is a charming little cozy mystery set in a town where all of the residents are woodland creatures. Just this kind of cozy woodland setting definitely gives me spring vibes to start off with. This one was definitely not my favorite book I've ever read, but I am fairly new to the cozy mystery genre, and if you are interested in diving into it, I think this was an easy place to get started. It's very charming, very quirky, and definitely gives a little bit of spring with these creatures. Our main character is a fox trying to solve a murder that happened in her town, and because it's a cozy, everything happens off page, so it's very light as far as mystery goes. This one was really sweet and charming. I'll give you a closer look because that cover is just so cute. But yeah, I feel that this one is also pretty springy. So those are the books that I was able to come up with that I felt kind of had that spring feeling. Let me know in the comments if you have any springy book recommendations. I hope that you have enjoyed my TBR and my suggestions. Hopefully you found something interesting to add to your TBR list from this video. If you did, let me know what it is. I would love to chat with you about it. And that is everything that I have for you guys today, so I will chat with you in my next video. Bye, friends.